What's up, YouTube? This OG Weasel Urban Conversion, and I'm back again with another story. Just now tuning in, hit that like and subscribe button. I got 30 years in the federal system. I did 20 years on it. Thanks to Obama and the clemency program, I was released after doing 20 years in the feds. Now I'm coming to you with these federal prison stories, and they gonna be my experiences, my comrade experiences, and experience that I heard about throughout the feds throughout this 20 years. This story, was I in Greenville? I might have been in Pekin. Greenville or Pekin, one of these. I caught my first dirty urine in the feds. Now I'm running around here and I'm smoking weed. I'm stressed out, having 30 years. The guys around me stressed out. So to relieve some of the pain, we smoke weed a little bit, and that's breaking the law. You catch a shot. You get a written report if you get caught using illegal drugs. Having somebody else pills, same street shit. So now it's this rainbow we had in the unit named Birdie. Birdie had a celly that was from Philadelphia, and they used to call him Philly. He worked for the captain's office, and him working for the captain office, meaning he going in the captain's office, cleaning the captain office, making runs for the captain, doing certain things for the captain. He's captain's inmate motherfucking secretary. And that alone made me not trust this motherfucker. Two of the reasons I didn't trust him: he was living in the room with a rainbow. So that just said a lot about him personally. I didn't trust him. My core gut didn't trust him. So I stayed away from him. Even though he was in my unit and he associated with guys that I associated with, speaking to him, maybe bringing him some cleaning supplies that he used from the captain office or whatever. But I didn't trust him. My core gut didn't trust him. And I stayed away from him. For one, I thought he was the police for working for the captain. You not just working for the captain if you ain't just rub the captain to get the man. That just didn't look right to me and a lot of other people, but he worked for the captain, so it is what it is. Wasn't my caliber of person to hang out with, to deal with, or associate myself with, because of the fact that he lived in a room with a rainbow. So that was just a immoral mindset that I thought he had, and I ain't want no parts of that shit. So, mind you, him and my celly always used to play speed or black deuce for money or something, dominoes or something. Him and my celly. Now I had a 30-year sentence. My other celly had a 30-year sentence. And my other celly had a 30-year. So it's 3 30-year sentences. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a 30-year sentence. That's 90 years, down there 100 years, and sleeping in a 3-man room. So we got to deal with 3 different mindsets of having this. Even though they was older than me and they had been down longer than me, they was wise, and I valued their opinion. They was 2 of my homeboys, older homeboys of mine, Steve and Mums from St. Louis. Shout out to Steve and Mums, man, my OGs, man. Now Steve used to deal with Philly on gambling or whatever, and they had a little cool report. And I used to always tell Steve, when he come to the room, like, Steve, man, keep him out the room. I don't trust him. Because when I come in the room, Moms didn't smoke weed, but me and Steve did. Me and Steve used to smoke weed. Always give me a joint, or I bring a joint in from him and give him a joint, this and that. So every time I have some weed, I always call Steve first. Steve, what's up? I want to get high, this and that. So one particular day, I come from playing handball, and I come in the room, and I got a little weed. So I say, Steve, what's up? You want to get high? He's like, yeah. So I'm in the room, Steve standing at the door. I'm like, Steve, watch the door. I'm in this motherfucker rolling up a joint. This nigga, Billy, come to the door and knock on the door. I'm like, Steve, who is that? He like, that's Billy. I'm like, nah, don't let him in, Steve. He gonna tell on me. Steve, don't let him come in here. I don't want him to see me with this weed on the table. My gut feeling. So Steve tell him to hold on, this and that, step out the door and go to hollering at him on the top tier. I'm nervous and scared because I don't want this motherfucker to see me rolling this weed, because I just know in my heart that this nigga is the police, you know, and everything about this motherfucker just tell me to stay away from him. Don't associate yourself with him and all of this, that, and the third. After all of that, Steve step out on the tier store talking to him and shit like that. Then Steve come back in the room, and I'm like, Steve, man, I don't trust that motherfucker, man. He like, oh, man, Billy cool, man. He all right, this and that, and this. I'm like, no, he ain't, Steve. He all right with you. He ain't gonna tell on you, but he'll tell on me. I just know it. I feel it, everything. So after Steve come back in the room and Billy act like he walk off, Philly bust back in the room. Man, why you acting like that, man? Man, what's wrong with you? This and that and the third. And I'm like, God damn, I'm looking up at Steve like, damn, Steve, man, you let this motherfucker bust in the room, see me with this, man. I'm just looking at him like, damn, man, you let this motherfucker bust me. So this motherfucker come in the room like, man, you act like I'm gonna tell on you, I ain't gonna tell on you, this and that and the third, this and that, yada, yada. He go on, and I'm like, man, I'm just looking at Steve, and I'm looking at him like, man, yeah, all right, I'm just letting him say this shit. He ain't aggressive to the point like he trying to, you know, because I ain't going for none of that. So he just trying to, man, I ain't gonna tell on you, man, I ain't gonna tell on you, this and that. Come in the room, and I'm looking at Steve like, God damn. So after he say that, I'm like, yeah, all right, man, all right. He leave out the door. Man, I say, God damn, Steve. I jump up. Damn, Steve, man, this motherfucker finna tell on me, man. Matter of fact, I'm like, yeah, matter of fact, I'm in Greenville. Man, I'm 45 an hour. I'm less than an hour away from the crib. I'm trying to stay here, trying to be cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my backyard, having it my way. I'm doing what I want to do. You know, it's just like all of the things that you can have in jail. I'm at closer to home. I got the homies. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got respect. I got loyalty. I got everything, and I'm close to the crib. So when he leave out, I say, damn, Steve, this motherfucker finna tell on me, man. I'm finna go to the goddamn hole. Like, man, Philly ain't gonna tell on you, this and that. I'm like, Steve, he gonna tell on me. He ain't gonna tell on you, nigga. I feel it in my gut. Like, man, Philly ain't gonna say shit. You know what I'm saying? Drop the newspapers off. That's what he used to do. My celly used to read the newspapers from wherever he used to get, the USA Today or whatever. So he used to always bring them to my celly. So he bring my celly the newspapers. And I tell my celly, no, just grab him. Don't let him in here. I don't want him to see the weed on the table. Man, this motherfucker play like he walk off, bust back in because he knew we was at the table doing something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Billy smoked weed or not. I wasn't gonna fuck with him like that. I don't give a fuck. And I wasn't gonna be smoking behind him no way, living in the room with a rainbow. So all of the thoughts of what's going in my head is ain't, You know, I'm putting together how I see it, so I don't give a fuck. I'm not smoking no weed with this motherfucker. I'm not breaking the law with this motherfucker. He worked for the captain, you know. And I got 30 years, and I'm you know, I got a knife. I be smoking weed. I drink hooch, you know. I'm doing all type of shit, and I ain't trying to get told on for real. So I keep to myself, and I do the little things I do with motherfuckers that I can trust. So after he busts in the room, and he leave out the room, and I look at Steve. I say, Steve, this bitch finna tell on me. He's like, man, Steve, he ain't gonna tell on you. He ain't gonna tell on me. I said, man, that nigga gonna tell on me. I feel it in my heart. He ain't gonna tell on you. So I'm sitting up there pissed off, man. Smoked the joint reluctantly. I'm scared to death. I really just want to say, here, Steve. I still give him some weed, but I don't even want to smoke the joint with him. Because I'm always going to give him some of my weed. He always going to give me some of his. So I'm like, here, man, god damn. And I don't know if he's smoking weed with Philly or not. I'm not sure. Like, he ain't going to tell him, man, that motherfucker this. I think he smoked weed. But he only smoked weed with Steve, and Steve smoked weed with him. I don't even know he smoked weed. I don't give a fuck. I just know this motherfucker, to me, he's like the police. And he'll tell on me. You know, I ain't got enough rapport built up with this bitch. So, I'm like, after that, right, after he leaves, a couple days later, I'm upstairs and I'm finna go outside to the rec yard, but I'm throwing my clothes in the laundry room. I'm throwing my clothes in the laundry in the washing machine. And as I'm up there getting my clothes, put them in the washing machine, finna go out and catch the rec to play some handball, he come upstairs and come right in the motherfucking laundry room and say, oh, ha ha ha, look at the dope fiend. Say that shit, right? Then I don't say shit. Then he say, then I think, no, the first incident, he was walking from the captain's office or something. It was like a 10-minute move. He walked past me like, look at the junkie. You know, and we walking amongst people and shit like that. We walking in the crowds and shit like that. So he's like, look at the junkie. Then the next time I'm in the laundry room, this like a couple days after that little incident with him busting in the room, seeing the weed on the table and all that. Then we in the laundry room, he come in the laundry room talking about, look at the junkie, look at the dope thing, ha ha ha, laugh. And that shit pissed me the fuck off. Pissed me off to the fact that now I feel like this motherfucker holding something over my motherfucking head. You know what I'm saying? So if he holding something over my head, it's like, okay, he gonna be able to or utilize these tactics to, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Make me feel like he think he got something over my head. So with that thought process, I'm like, nah, ain't nobody gonna have shit over my motherfucking head. Win, lose, or draw, nigga, we not playing these bitch ass games. So I say, in the laundry room, when he's like, look at the dope thing, look at the junkie, I go in on him. I really want to fight. I'm like, you bitch ass motherfucker, fuck you, bitch ass nigga, fuck you, punk ass motherfucker. I go in on him. I'm like, you living in your mama basement, nigga. You a dope fiend, nigga. You a junk. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was, you know, I'm feeling some type of way. I'm like, fuck you, dope fiend, crackhead ass motherfucker. You ain't had shit, coming to jail, living in your mama basement. I go in on him. Oh, I go in on that bitch hard. You know, I'm really trying to get him to jump out there to fight, but he ain't jumping out there to fight. You know, he ain't even getting aggressive to the point that he wanna, because I'm like, nigga, you ain't gonna have shit on my head. So I drive the wedge on him. Fuck you. Go in on him. Pun. Like, yeah, alright. And leave. Bitch ass motherfucker. Now I go outside, play handball. Now when we playing handball, we smoking joint after joint. If you lose on the court, you gotta go catch the line, you get in the back, and probably you behind another two people. So The other two people that's back there waiting, and the other dude that's probably getting the line, you drinking a gallon of hooch. You got a couple gallons of hooch out here in the jug that's supposed to be water. We drinking hooch, smoking weed while we playing handball. Getting high, playing handball. High intensity handball. So after all of that, we come in. I go back in the unit. Right? As soon as I go in the unit, I forget about my clothes and I go in my room. Then I think about the clothes that I put in the wash machine. I go to the laundry room, grab the clothes, go right back to my room. I'm sweaty. I gotta get in the shower and all of this. As soon as I shut the door in my room, they closed the move after I came in on the move. The guard go out and lock the door. Cause the move over with, he go back to his office. A few minutes later, I'm in my room getting my little shit together, getting ready for the shower. The guard come out the office and say, my name, yada, yada, yada. And I'm in the room, I'm like, damn, who is that? So I open the door, it's the guard, the CO standing in the middle of the floor, calling my name, and I'm like, what's up? He say, he look up at me and say, so you using three-way phone call, huh? I'm like, three-way phone call, man, I ain't even been on the phone. He like, well, Lieutenant wants you, man, you gotta go, Lieutenant wants you, man. Been using three-way. Now everybody looking around like, damn, this nigga was violating the phone. You know what I'm saying? Using the three-way, that means you call somebody and then they call somebody and talk on the phone. All of y'all on the phone. It's three-way, you know what I'm saying? And you can't do that. That's a shot. That's a violation of the phone and all of that shit. So I'm walking, come out the room, and I go down the steps, and the guard, matter of fact, it wasn't even the guard, it was the compound guard that came in and stood in the floor and said, Carmichael, using the three-way. So everybody's playing cards, looking at TV, this and that. They thinking I done used the motherfucking phone and violated the phone. I'm looking at him standing on top of the like, man, I ain't even used no phone. He's like, well, it ain't up to me, you know, Lieutenant wants you. And I'm like, damn. I come down the tier, go to the common area, going out the door, see what the lieutenant want. Soon as we go out the first door, he lock it and say, Carmichael, suspect UA. I look at this motherfucker and say, suspect UA. Mind you, I'm smoking weed like I'm on the street. Not fat blunts and all of that. We smoking pen ass joint. Shit that you dust off your lap type shit. And that's our joint. So anyway, as soon as I go out the door, this motherfucker say suspect UA. And I'm like, damn, I know I'm street dirty. You know what I'm saying? Street dirty, that's how much weed I've been smoking. We drinking water, but we ain't even flushing properly. We just drinking water. You know what I'm saying? It's so hot. And, you know, you would think you'd be clean from the high intensity handball that we play, but we smoke weed just as much, you know. So I'm like, damn, I refuse to piss. You gotta go straight to the hole. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, fuck it. I get an hour or two to piss. Man, it would have took me a day and a half to clean. That's how much weed we smoke. You know what I'm saying? Cause weed everywhere. Everybody got weed. Everybody smoking weed. We smoking weed all day, every day. Everybody got a joint. You know what I'm saying? Or a couple joints or a cap of weed. And it's real cheap at this time. It's like $20 for a chapstick cap of weed. You know, just a chapstick cap, just to cost like, you know, at that time. Then that shit eventually went up to $100, $120 a cap. But at this time, it's like $20, $15 a cap. So this shit's plenty. Man, I go to the motherfucking, to the medical. The dude took me over to medical. to do the piss test. And I'm walking over here like, God damn, man, I know I'm dirty. So I wasted an hour and a half trying to drink water, drink water and all of this shit. Pissing a little bit in my pants and shit, trying to get this dirty part out of my shit. So I'm like, fuck. Finally pissed for this motherfucker. Now, 4 or 5 days later, a week later, they come back. Call me to the lieutenant office to lock me up for the dirty unit. I got a dirty unit. Now when I go to jail, I stay in the hole for a few weeks. They let me out. I know who told on me, so I'm like, okay, I'm finna stab this motherfucker. So now I come back to my cell with me and Steve and Mums. So I tell Steve, I say, man, I'm finna stab this nigga. I'm telling y'all the real thought process that I had. This early on in my Fed sentence. I probably went locked up a couple years or something. But I'm knowing I'm having this 30 years, I'm gonna have to stab somebody. I done already had a few fights, but fighting ain't nothing. These niggas playing for keeps in here. I ain't finna be wrestling around, fighting no nigga. Dump you on your head, you got 50 stitches for the rest of your life. So I'm playing for keeps. When you fan me, motherfucker, if I choose to stab you behind you putting your hands on me, that's my motherfucking choice. That you put your hands on me and do something, I don't give a fuck. Even if it's intense to the point of... So anyway, I'm like, man, I'm stabbing this motherfucker. And I'm knowing it's gonna be like, I hadn't stabbed nobody at this time, but I'm knowing that I would stab somebody. Will stab somebody, because it's survival of the fittest. And I got a 30-year sentence on my mindset different. I'm gonna make it out of this motherfucker without no scars, without no knots, without no stitches, without none of that. Without being motherfucking violated, being molested, or whatever the fuck it might be. I'm standing my ground as a man, and I'm like, this motherfucker told. No, he told. So it's suspect UA. I get the incident report. Suspect UA, they say call Michael, woo. Informant, do this and that. Who else I had an issue with? Who the fuck else I had an issue with but with this motherfucker from Philly? So I'm like, okay, I know I gotta stab this motherfucker. Gotta stab him. I'm gonna stab this motherfucker. I value Steve and Mom's opinions. I was gonna get this motherfucker when he went to the shower. I said, I'm finna stab him as soon as he go in the shower, I said. So now I'm putting on certain shoes because I'm a bust in the shower and stab him while he naked. I'm stabbing this motherfucker. I'm stabbing him for telling on me. Man, do you know Steve and Mums, they talked me out of stabbing him. They talked me out of stabbing him like, man, you fighting for your life. You get this stabbing on your jacket, they gonna look at you as a violent offender. He gonna tell on you. It's gonna be hard for you to get out of jail having that on your jacket if you stab this motherfucker. He said, trust me, it looked wrong and it looked bad right now, but this is a situation that you have to take on the chin. And I thought about it, but I told Steve, I'm like, I told you this motherfucker would tell on me. I told you this motherfucker would tell on me. So he knew how he felt a certain type of way, like, damn. But he talked me out of stabbing the nigga from Philly. You know. Do I regret it at times? Later on in years after I've been in certain situations and then used the knife and all of that, sometimes I did regret not stabbing him. Because that's what he needed, you know. Everybody already, and that's the worst rat you can have, an in-house rat. When you got an in-house rat, You already under these badass conditions. The police standing on you. Then they got the in-house rats. They telling on you. So it's a lose-lose situation. So that rat needed to be off the line. I regretted it for a lot of years down the line for not stabbing him. But then again, I do respect it because having that, now being in the position that I'm in now, and looking at how they reviewed my criminal history of me being in prison, doing the clemency project, that would have been a bad inclination on my record for them letting me out of prison after 20 years. So that would have stuck with me. I'm glad I didn't stab him, but I was regretful of it for a lot of years later on. And I met a lot of guys from Philly after that incident, when I went years later, going on the East Coast and all of that, and they nothing like the Philly guy that I first encountered. This is OG Weasel Urban Conversion, and this my truth. Hit the comments below, hit the comments, hit the likes, hit the shares, hit the descriptions, hit the whatever, hit all that shit at the bottom. You know, this OG Weasel Urban Conversion, and this my truth. Peace.